And welcome back to another episode of Unpacking Endpoint Management. This is our final episode of the season, and it's our technically ending our fourth season. And I'll just go ahead and say it, there will be a fifth. But before, let's get right down to it. With me, as always, is my co-host and partner in crime, Danny Guillory. How you doing, Danny?
What's up? What's up?
And
Four seasons already.
And of course, we have our adult supervision, as we call it, Rochelle Blanchard. It's good to have you back, Rochelle.
Thanks, Steve.
Ooh.
And we have two very special guests today. I don't think we've had them on before. We have Arnab Biswas and Benjamin Flamm from the Intune product team, and we're here to talk about that other desktop, macOS.
Ooh.
Yes. Ironically, I am actually logged on doing this show from a Mac as well. Because at Microsoft, we reject the tyranny of or and embrace the genius of and. And there's been a lot of innovation on the on the Intune team around cross-platform management. And we wanted to kind of end the season with an awesome show talking about the rise of macOS in the enterprise and how you can manage those macOS devices in an enterprise fashion using Intune for endpoint management. Arnab, I'll just start with
Yes,
you.
sir.
How what's been happening in the world of macOS management in the last few months?
Well, I think the most anticipated thing that happened are two things. One is we announced support for platform SSO in public preview, and that was a really important milestone for our enterprise customers because they could finally, manage their Macs at the same level of authentication strengths that Windows Hello for Business had in their environments for Windows environments. So bringing that level of enterprise support through the macOS platform and through the collaboration with between Apple, our Entra ID team, and Intune, and bringing that to fruition was really quite something, and we're really proud of that. And we're continuing to march towards general availability. So yeah, it's great to hear the excitement and all the great feedback that customers have been providing us. And that brings me to the second part of what has been happening. We just had WWDC, so Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference just happened. And there were, again, a great host of features announced and specific to platform SSO. We already saw a lot of improvements and feedback that Apple has addressed. So we're really excited to see that, and we'll be digging deep into it and bringing that to market as well.
Were you actually at WWDC?
No, unfortunately, no. We were remote, but we sort of have a watch party, in our Cambridge, Massachusetts office. Ben flew in from Atlanta to join the party. So yeah, we all got together and watched it in our office.
Awesome. So, Ben, what's been one of the most interesting and challenging things about working on macOS management for the Intune team?
That's an interesting question for sure. I think probably similar to a lot of us here, grew up on PC, and so that was what I would consider my native language until probably college is when I made the switch. But I think it's really been just trying to understand how we can build features while keeping all of the Windows admins in mind, or just not even just Windows, but like cross-platform admins in mind. Still maintaining like the consistency that Intune has, but making it in a way that it's intuitive. Like, managing a Mac should just be as easy as managing Windows. And it sounds easy in theory, but not always the most easy thing to do.
So Ben, last time I saw you was MMS, I think. What was some things from MMS that you took away was asked for, or feedback that you went back and delivered to the team that we should look at related to Mac management?
Yeah. So one of the big things, so Platform SSO released that week. So I kind of wish it was like a week earlier though. So everyone had, the time to play with it, and then they would see me and say, hey, tell Arnab we need all these stuff in Platform SSO. I think honestly, some of the best feedback that I got was probably around our settings catalog. It's something that I talk about all the time, and so we can provide essentially day zero support for settings that Apple releases, and this is something that we worked with the Windows team to do. It exists in Windows, but I don't always hear too much about it. Just through social media or whatever, because it just kind of works. And so being in person and hearing the feedback of like, wow, you guys are so fast at this, and like we love the settings catalog. That was one of the biggest takeaways I got. Is like, I'm tired of talking about this all the time. I feel like I'm just kind of like a broken record with it, but it was good to get that feedback, that people do like it.
Well, as somebody that works on products as well, I can tell you that day zero support for another company's platform is a very impressive feat.
So it looks like we have a question on Tech Community. Does Platform SSO still require additional registration with Apple Business Manager, or are all activities being taken care of fully by Intune/Entra? Who wants to take that one?
I can take that. I'm not sure what it means by registration with Apple Business Manager. If that means federation, Platform SSO does not require identity federation. It does require a device registration, also known as Entra join, which is basically creating a hardware-bound device record for the user, and that is used for both establishing the single sign-on experience as well as for conditional access if you have those policies set up. So yeah, I guess the last part of the question, yeah, it is really done by Intune and Entra using the single sign-on extension that was developed by our Entra ID teams. So yeah, currently that supports the Intune as the MDM, and you can configure it via MDM to enable that experience.
Reading into that question too, they might also want to know if like BYOD scenarios are supported for Platform SSO, as opposed to Macs that are onboarding through like company portal instead of onboarding through ABM or Apple Business Manager.
Yeah, so yes, Platform SSO is built in a way where no matter whether this is a corporate device, and you're going through automated device enrollment, it can be enabled, as well as for bring your own device scenarios, or if you already have a Mac that is set up and now you're trying to enroll into MDM. And if you configure Platform SSO for an already enrolled, already workplace joined device that you're accessing protected resources, conditional access protected resources, we actually support migrating that workplace join record to a more secure and tamper-proof Entra join while you go through the Platform SSO experience of the device.
Thank you. It looks like we have a question from Sean on LinkedIn. Has the 2 admin login problem been resolved?
I believe Sean is referring to the fact that macOS requires one admin to be on the device before the second admin can be downgraded. Ben, do you interpret this in any other way?
I think that's That's the local admin account
The
question.
local admin. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. So in short, not yet. We are working on it. So we added support for local account creation through MDM this year. And the next slice of that feature set is really adding support for the primary account, the admin account creation and the primary user account being the standard user. And we're working on that. However, there is a workaround that we suggest during this time, which is technically you could enroll the device and then set it up with platform SSO, and then use scripting to create an admin account that's hidden, known to you, and then you can downgrade your platform SSO enabled user to a standard user using the platform SSO payload through MDM. And that is kind of a segue to the fact that platform SSO actually allows us to do privilege management, which is something that we are very interested in and will be looking at.
Nice.
Okay, from Julius on Tech Community. In the spirit of passwordless on macOS, will there be a Windows Hello for Business equivalent policies to force users to enroll in Touch ID or Face ID if it ever makes it to Mac?
Interesting. Thinking about this.
That's interesting. I know we have like our passcode policies in both, MDM and the new declarative device management protocol, which you can do some password requirements, but I guess they're not specific to biometrics. I will say that at WWDC, there are some new platform SSO settings that, this is just the past week, so we still have to figure out what the experience looks like. But they are related to biometrics like Touch ID. But yeah, Arnab, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm getting hung up on the fact force users to enroll in Touch ID. I think Apple talks about Touch ID in relation to platform SSO as like a convenience feature. So it's almost something you get if your hardware supports, and it's there. But just the way macOS works, it still very much requires a password to unlock your encrypted drive when you first turn it on or restart it. And also, I think every 24 hours you have to enter your password. So yes, you can use Touch ID, and I think most users do if they have it set up. But even if you force Touch ID, there are still scenarios where you need to use the local password.
And that's interesting because when you get a feature request like that, it's always good to for customers out there to understand that a lot of this is going to require some sort of cooperation from Apple. I mean, in order for us to go in and force a knob a certain way, the knob has to exist, I guess. And so that brings up another interesting topic. In my world, I have to work across a lot of different product teams here at Microsoft. But the advantage I have is, at the end of the day, Office is Microsoft, Windows is Microsoft, Defender and Intune are Microsoft. In your case, you actually have to now work with counterparts at a different company. How has that experience been? What has that been like?
You gonna take it, Arnab?
All right.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
I can.
So I think it has been really eye-opening, and also just Apple and Microsoft coming together in this space. I think there is a lot we can learn from each other, and that is what's really apparent when we put us in the same room. where I think we really bring in a lot of the, you know, the direct customer empathy and feedback from all those direct conversations that we have so much in our enterprise space. And I think from the Apple side, they are very much focused on user privacy and how do you create a secure experience. But when building experiences, you kind of have to marry the two to really build experiences that are usable. So I think that's where we have. I think we've been engaged on this journey for about 5 years now, and that has really helped us figure out, hey, okay, this is what you're better at, and this is what we are better at, and how can we work better together to really meet our mutual customers in the middle. So much so where we really come and help those mutual customer conversations where customers have Windows devices, they speak the Windows language, and they want to manage Mac, but they just have never touched a Mac. They don't even know how to power it on. So, how do you talk to those customers? So we have, I think, really built a partnership there to figure out how can we help each other and also involve each other in these mutual customer conversations where it can be beneficial to both of us.
So, like, if we go back to Julius's question, it's an interesting feature request. Do you have like a hotline at Apple, like a magic button that you push where you say, "Hey, let's make this happen"?
Right. Just like Microsoft, Apple is a huge company, so it takes a village, a city, to build something. So we have, I would say, like, to our credit, we have built this relationship at multiple points in our organization. So that's both at the leadership level and also with like teams that actually work on MDM features, and then the customer facing teams, the architects who go visit the customers, really figure out, hey, what your environment is like, how do I build the solution for you. So I would say it's like not just one, but there are several of these. And then, we still do have unofficial channels to kind of bring up issues where, hey, we are seeing multiple customers hitting this issue on a new OS. Have you heard of it? But so we'd give a heads up, but we still would go through the proper channels of opening a feedback item and telling the customer to find an enterprise ticket or a radar bug, and going through that process. So ultimately, the engineer who has to look at it comes down to, hey, give me logs. So while we kind of communicate and give heads up, but at the same time figure out, okay, how do we get logs and get this going?
Hey, just as a reminder, for those that are wanting to send us feedback and information, aka.ms/feedback. I get annoying emails about that every day, every week, as sure as all of us PMs get them. So send your feedback so we can hear it and actually plan for it. And Rochelle, your dog wants to be on the show too, evidently. So.
He does. He's a special guest today.
He's putting feedback in, probably.
Exactly.
What's our next question? We got another one?
Yeah, we have one from Samesh on Tech Community. After successful PSSO onboarding, the device is intra-joined and the device gets a new device ID. This leads to multiple/duplicate device records in intra. Any plans to fix this, or is this intended behavior?
Yeah, that is good feedback, and I believe I have heard about this before, and we have brought this to our engineering folks' attention. It is currently a result of how it is designed, but definitely not the long-term intended behavior. So this is something that we are looking at, and I believe should be addressed by the time we make platform as generally available. But the goal is the device should only have a single device record, and platform SSO actually allows you to have a shared device key where you have a single ID, but you can still support multiple users on the same device. That is the direction towards which this is going. And I believe, while we are in this space of, you can have different kinds of AAD device records or Entra-ID device records, where it's like, it could be a workplace join, it could be an Entra join, whatever is the name of the day for AAD registration. So yeah, it's kind of a journey while we transition to this new model, and then it will be addressed.
Awesome. Okay, question from Carrie on Tech Community. Any opportunities to support additional hardware filtering for application installs, profiles, etc.? As an example, WebEx uses different installers for Intel versus Apple Silicon, or an application with minimum memory requirements and restricting to only machines meeting that requirement. Being able to filter the install based on hardware platform and specifications would be helpful.
So that's a question for both Arnab and Danny. So I'm interpreting that question as, if I'm a user that may be on a Mac or a Windows device and you want to push an app to me, basically platform affinity.
So related to Windows, we are investigating adding some filters. For us, I assume for Arnab, the equivalent was going to be ARM for Microsoft. So I use an Apple device also with Silicon. So I guess, Arnab, you're going to have to figure that out too for different install types, right?
Correct.
You have been paper, rock, scissors for it.
I'm trying to figure out whether this question is talking about filtering. Okay, it's talking about hardware filtering for app installs and profiles. So it's like custom filtering for targeting.
I think it's like two separate, because there's the hardware filtering like you're talking about, Danny, with like Intel versus Apple Silicon, and that's something I think we actually have in the works already, like on the Mac side. The minimum memory requirements and like all those other specs, I think, is probably part of like a bigger initiative going on, but I think that's maybe something that we could take back.
I think so. I think I haven't checked the Mac platform in a while, Arnab, at least since me and you worked together when I was on the CAT team. So I know Windows has memory disk requirements. I'm not sure if Mac has it when it goes through the wizard, but at least, yeah, you could see that as two, maybe even three different feature requests, right? Hardware filter, app filter, and maybe a device configuration filter.
Right. We do a memory requirement check in the background for applications getting deployed. But yeah, we did not expose that to admins today, I believe, which is what Windows has in the Win32 app deployment flow. In terms of filtering, what I would say is we are broadly looking at any kinds of targeting or filtering. We see it as this is a core Intune framework or Intune platform item that we need to address, not specific to a particular type of policy or a particular operating system. So there is a larger undertaking in our Intune platform team to really figure out how do we support all these more custom and extensible sort of filtering that our customers are asking for. So that's casting a wide net to all the platforms we support and all the different types of policies. So I'm thinking that this is something that will be covered as part of that.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, question on LinkedIn. When a user resets their password in AD, how is that passed to Mac from Intune with login reset on the local MacBook if the passkey is updated on their profile?
Did I meant to say intra ID or
Yeah.
ID?
assuming Entra ID, because Platform SSO is only supported on cloud identity. So the password never travels from, you might reset your password elsewhere. All that will do on your Platform SSO enabled Mac is it will basically not honor any of the tokens that the SSO, the single sign-on extension, has. So it will prompt the user to then enter the new password to then be able to log in and get new tokens from Entra ID.
Okay, question from Ken on Tech Community. Has there been development in the experience in managing Linux / I'm going to butcher that, Ubuntu? Last time I checked, onboarding required a lot of tinkering and did not support Azure Auth account management at the time.
These are not the desktops you're looking for. These are not the desktop. I'm trying to make that question go away.
So I
don't know if
about Azure
for that
Auth.
one.
Sorry, Danny, say that again.
I don't know if any of us have an answer for that one.
We do not.
Well, I use it from time to time, just for some of the endpoint work I do. And, I would say stay tuned. Right now, there are some limitations in terms of managing Linux from from Intune. There are some capabilities. There's some browser management capabilities as well, and the onboarding is actually going to improve from what I've been told from the PMs there. And we'll probably have those PMs on a later episode once they get ready to make some more, public announcements next season. But I would just say stay tuned on that side of things.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, question from Gary on LinkedIn. With AI PC possibly coming in more volume in the second half of 2024, will Intune be updated with controls to help manage regulatory compliance and security on endpoints? I know this is a loaded question and likely will be addressed in 2025 or possibly later.
So I'll go with a very generic yes on that one. No specific, nothing specific. That could be, as you said, a loaded question and put us in a little bit of trouble. So I'll say a wide general yes. What those controls will be, we don't know. We will all own them in different settings, vary with different teams, different platforms, different architectures. So a wide general yes, no specifics about it.
Yeah, and I can speak to Apple platforms. And Ben, yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. I think, yeah, with the direction that Apple is going towards, as became clear in WWDC, they have a different take than our Windows PCs with on-device AI processing and having more of a user control before things go out into the data centers for processing. I can anticipate that our enterprise customers would want greater control over those scenarios especially when the data has to leave the device, especially in more controlled customer environments. So yeah, I think as we hear that feedback, we'll be bringing that back to our team and our Apple counterparts to really figure this out. And I think one thing is very clear is like we're all trying to figure out and anticipate, how to help these, how to support customers using these very, very new tools, and what are the what are the ways the users will be using it, and what are the sort of controls that organizations might need to manage that. Like we want to enable our users, but also while keeping your data secure and making sure you have control over that. So yes, certainly it's going to be a big challenge, and there are a lot of gray areas that we'll need to figure out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Go ahead, Danny.
No, go ahead. All yours.
I was just gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. Just like going off the Apple platform, what Arnab was saying, and Steve, what you're saying about the knobs too, like from just a simple, enable disable management perspective, I fully expect Apple to release like controls for this to enable disable like math notes, which if you guys saw that was super cool. But it will be interesting to see. This is my own just personal perspective with like the private cloud compute functionality of like whatever's not like necessarily processed on the device and it's going out to data center like Arnab was talking about. It'll be interesting to see how that's handled, and especially in like globally, like different regions that have like specific requirements. So yeah, I haven't seen any changes to the APIs or anything, but I do expect Apple to give us some knobs to help admins control that. But y'all go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's perfect. I love what is happening in AI for reasons many may not necessarily realize, because 6 weeks ago, one of my colleagues and I were kind of last minute, were asked to go show up for a couple of breakout sessions at the M365 conference. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a predominant SharePoint oriented conference. And I've never been to a in all my years of Microsoft, I've never been to a SharePoint conference. So we weren't really setting a lot of high expectations. We had 400 people show up for our breakout session, 400. And they wanted to know mainly two things. Number one, how do I turn all this Copilot stuff off until I'm ready for it? And number two, how do I prevent stalking? And really, that was the word they used was stalking. And I'm sitting here, oh, now you're interested in further compliance. All right. Okay. So, guardrails are not going to always be there unless you actually turn them on. And in some cases, guardrails will be on by default. In some cases, they may not be. But the most important thing for our customers is to take advantage of the fact that we're announcing this stuff well in advance to give you time to prepare for it. Just like the recent stuff, and I won't go into too much detail on it, with the recall feature in Windows that's coming with these new devices that are AI enabled at the hardware level. You have time to prepare. You have decisions you can make before you actually have to encounter this stuff in your actual estate. So, that's the best advice I can give, is to, keep watching these spaces for development and understand that we listen to you, as we've proven in the last 2 weeks, specifically around the items like recall. We listen to our customers and we can adjust according to our customer demands.
Any thoughts from you, Danny?
The world wants to get smarter, but the world also wants control. There will just inevitably have to be a balance. Like big picture wise, like everybody wants to use AI. I mean, we've heard about AI since we were all kids, but you can't get smarter without controls. And then how much controls is enough? How much is not enough? I think we will all struggle with that. I mean, just as smart as we are getting with security and AI, the people doing dumb stuff are also getting smarter using said same tools, right? So chicken and egg, it's a good problem, but also sometimes it feels like a problem trying to find a hammer or a hammer trying to find a nail. just can be very awkward sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's how we evolve as people.
I like those analogies. Okay, question from Eddie on Tech Community. Any plans to add device filters within macOS shell script assignments? And that's also from Dennis as well. Two people had the same question.
Okay, I can take that. But I actually hear those two questions a little differently. So I think there are two parts to it. So one is supporting our existing set of assignment filters, as Intune calls it. Yes, that is something we have in our backlog, and we hope to bring to production this year for bringing support of the all of the Intune agent scenarios to have support for these filters. And the importance really is, like, we talked about consistency and having parity across platforms. I think principally we see that as a super important piece of the Intune value, that you can have the same sort of groups and same sort of filtering and same sort of grouping and targeting for all platforms. So yes, that is a gap we need to go and address for assignment filters. And in one of the previous questions, we talked about thinking about how do we bring more extensible, more custom filtering for all kinds of policies. So that goes to the other question where you can have more kinds of filters, not just device filters, but really any kind of custom filters, anything you can query. So yeah, that is something we are thinking about broadly for Intune as a platform for admins.
So I'm trying to prove to somebody just pinged me and doesn't believe that I'm really on a Mac. So I guess I'll just hold the keyboard up. I hope that's sufficient. So what kind of work are we doing to in the world of parity for things in Intune? Like, we can do a lot of rich things in for example, for Windows devices, because obviously, Microsoft, we own the platform. So we get involved with things like, endpoint analytics and some of the advanced capabilities that come with that. Are we going to see more innovation, for example, within the Intune suite, possibly, to give some of those capabilities and insights into our customers' macOS estates?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think Ben can attest to all the groundwork that needed to happen before until about a year ago, when we needed to support any single setting that Apple announced. But now with the settings ingestion, we are really able to do this a lot faster, and with a lot less engineering effort. And our long-term goal always was that we need to have these frameworks and architecture that are extensible and scalable, and therefore we're not just waiting for, hey, what's the next thing Apple going to release. We can really differentiate ourselves on the Intune value. And yeah, of course, Intune Suite, as it has been announced as a line of products, and we really see that as freeing up our own engineering efforts and resources to be able to focus on that. So that is certainly something you'll be seeing more and more as we go forward. And this also goes to the fact that we stay in very close touch with customers, and we see that the often the what customers want to see next are not necessarily Mac specific things. They are like broad things that broad problems that they have across all desktop environments, and we need a solution for both Windows and Mac. So we're also trying to really come out of our depth of Mac. We're like, okay, we pride ourselves on knowing the platform, speaking Mac when we're kind of like unicorns at Microsoft. But now we're having to like really come out and think about, oh, okay, yes, this is a broader problem, and I not only need to solve it on Mac, but I really need to think about the big picture of what does it mean for an Intune admin, and how do we solve that on Windows? How do we solve that on Mac? And it has definitely been a learning experience, and yeah, we will. I think we'll be doing a lot more of those innovative features that are beyond the platform. Ben, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, not really talking about Intune Suite, but just like the way that Apple has shifted their focus. So I think it was over the last couple of WWDCs, Apple has been, the future of device management is here. It's declarative, and now it's, they're all in. The future of device management is declarative management. And so, we always talk about, yeah, we can support, settings day zero. We can ingest these restrictions from, old MDM protocol. It's all like, that's all easy. But I think one of the big things that like we always really want to land with the settings catalog is that we built it with Apple's, new declarative device management protocol, like baked in. And so, there's all of obviously there's all the day zero support for there, but really it goes back to, being able to take our like time to support new settings from, a few months now to just, kind of a matter of hours, really a matter of minutes. It's really let us shift our focus from, not just like having to go and spec out this new setting, and then engineering has to go and do their thing over a couple sprints. Now, it's really let us shift our focus to innovating instead of just pure implementation. And so, all that said, with the shift to DDM from Apple and us also all in on that, that's been really my focus lately, and I can say like definitely keep your eyes peeled on all of our what's new stuff for all the DDM stuff that we're working on too. It won't necessarily all of the new innovative stuff isn't necessarily like not platform, not just like, oh, this isn't something that the platform offers, like Intune just builds it itself. A lot of the innovation is coming from native support within the platform too. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for what's new for DDM stuff specifically.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay, question from Simon on Tech Community. And this is another Linux one. As a general percentage, how much functionality is the same when enrolling/using Entra/Intune on a Linux machine?
I can take that. I can't speak to a percentage, but on Linux, beyond the onboarding experience, we have, I think, some configuration and some compliance available through custom compliance. So on Linux, it is definitely more of a more script-based and a custom experience than on other platforms. And so yeah, that's what is currently supported today.
Thanks, Arnab. Okay, we have a question/request from Robert on Tech Community. Any improvements coming in non-line of business package detection rules beyond the current app bundle version check? This is needed to cover situations for packages that install in non-standard locations or don't have an app bundle. Currently, these packages install over and over at every check-in since it can't determine if a package is already installed. It would be awesome to offer more detections, such as checking package receipts/version, a particular file path, or a user-generated install check script to determine if a package is already installed.
It's like my spec that I just reviewed yesterday with our new hire. So yes, this is an area that we are going to focus on next. So thank you for the feedback, Robert. Yeah, we have been hearing this from others as well, that while what we have currently out there is good for a lot of the applications, but yeah, there are these edge cases for app deployments that are still we don't do a great job at. And our goal really is to be able to address that so that 100% of apps that you need to be deployed can be deployed through Intune. So we are currently actively working on building that custom app detection and also taking a dependency on not just a bundle ID and version number, but also looking at the receipts database for what apps are installed. So yeah, those are all components that you can expect to be able to configure in the future as you deploy applications.
Well, I was surprised that question didn't come sooner. Actually, now the macOS admins are coming out. They're asking questions now. Awesome.
All right, so we got another question from Eddie on tech community. Monkey, whatever. Monkey and auto PKG has proven to be an effective workaround with some of the inefficiencies in macOS app management in Intune. Are there any plans to create something similar in Intune to improve app distribution and patching, either similar to aforementioned solution, or something new in-house, or integrating these two into Intune?
Oh, this question is for you, Daddy.
I was like reading it and like, dang it. Yeah, somebody planted that question. I do plan on at some point supporting macOS with enterprise app management. So whoever wrote that question, I guess just wanted me to talk today. So enterprise app management is Microsoft's march towards third-party app patching. So right now it's probably good to characterize it as a package solution, not necessarily a patching solution. We're working towards the patching piece. Stay tuned. 2408, we should be releasing the updated app version. They still won't have Mac OS stuff. So at some point we will show and offer the Mac data. We actually already have the Mac data. We just didn't have time to actually work with Arnab team to actually get the Mac apps in there. So at some point we'll collaborate, work together once all this security stuff calms down, and then we'll work together and get the Mac apps in there.
Yeah, so this goes back to the point, like why we have been working towards freeing up our time and mindshare, so we can go actually build these things that are exciting and added value to what we provide with just the platform.
Yeah, believe me, it kills me to have the data and not be able to use it. And there's a lot more part of the data that we have that we don't use. So it just takes time, probably more patience as a customer than you're willing to give. But believe me, it takes more of my patience too, because everybody's busy. Hey, I'm ready to work on something. The other team's not. I wish it was a one-man show sometime, but it's not. It's a big company, so we have to work together, collaborate, and bring our expertise.
I would also say, like, if we just went and did enterprise app management, I don't think everybody will be able to use it. It's still important that we've solved the fundamental gaps in app deployment in core Intune that we have been solving. So yeah, those very much remain our top priority, that in core Intune, you need to be able to deploy the things that you want to deploy 100%. And beyond that, this is kind of the icing on the cake, that okay, now you get this great experience where you don't have to figure out where the app comes from. You just pick it, and it's tested. We guarantee it's going to work, and it just works. So yeah, we will get there, and yeah, we're getting there slowly.
Thank you. Okay, question from Julius on tech community. When looking at the various app types, Win32 versus LOB versus package, etc., and scripts across the various platforms, the assignment options in Intune are not consistent. Is there an initiative to normalize this to offer a complete and consistent experience across all assignments, apps, app types, scripts, etc., regardless of the target platform, for example, Windows, Mac, etc.?
It kind of relates to the earlier question where we're getting more of an app model like capability in Intune, similar to what we had in the config manager world.
I see Ben shaking his head, so I'll let him go.
I think this is probably more for Arnab, but you know me, I always want to talk about DDM, so I'll defer to Arnab for this one. It seems like it's like, for one, like the assignment options is, you know, talking more about like available apps, but I'm not sure if there's anything like beyond that too. So
I think it might go even a little deeper, because I remember on iOS we have available for enrolled devices, available for unenrolled devices, and then there's required apps. Whereas on Mac, we don't have the unenrolled ones. So I think in some cases like that, it will be different just simply due to just platform limitations. But where it is possible to be made consistent, so for example, we are currently working on bringing support for available assignment type to both the DMG and the PKG, unmanaged PKG workflows on Mac. So there you will have consistency across the platforms. But I think for shell scripts, I don't see us introducing any additional assignment type. I think those are very much, they get assigned and they work as required. However, I can see if you wanted to make scripts available to the user that appear in company portal, I think you'll be able to do that once we support this custom detection mechanism that I was talking about earlier for apps, because that basically then allows you to deploy anything as a PKG and still be able to detect when there is no payload in that package. So that PKG could have just scripts, and you could have that be available in the company portal, and then those could be simply actions that the user could take for self-help steps before they call help desk, for example. So yeah, that I guess would be our first foray into this. But yeah, would be curious to hear any feedback on that approach.
All right. What's the next one?
Okay, Gary on LinkedIn. Is there an easier process to discovering iOS URL protocols when making Intune MAM exemptions? Discovering URL protocols for applications that do not use the Intune API but need to be allowed to interact with OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams Online.
We needed Andy here.
Yeah, this
The father of MAM.
would be an Andy one.
So any of the questions that we can't answer live on here, we'll make sure we get Andy for this one to answer on the page itself. So have no fear. We won't leave you stranded.
All right, so 5 minutes left. Well, let's do a round table of final thoughts. Ben, go first.
go for just final thoughts, just on anything.
Mac management. This is y'all's show, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've really, like I said,
Don't
I'm
say
always a
DDM.
broken.
Don't say DDM again.
Is declarative device management okay? No, I feel like I'm a broken record with it. I'm super excited about it. I feel like Apple is really really innovating in that space. And so, like I said, that's my focus. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm excited to get those features out of there. But and also, yeah, thanks for having us on the show too. I've always seen it, but never actually joined as a panelist. So this is fun. But those are all my thoughts. If I can't talk more about DDM. So.
Good stuff, Ben. I've always had a good time working with Ben. Ben, when did we meet? Last year? Was it Flamingo or something? MMS?
No, I think we met at this past MMS. No, it was MVP Summit.
It was MVP Summit.
It was recent.
Ben always has a lot of energy.
Yeah, we're menaces when we get together.
All right, we can't share that stuff on the show.
Arnab, final thoughts.
Well, I would say if you have been keeping tabs on Intune Mac management, now is a great time to do your proof of concepts and pilots and really see how far we have come along. And I think we fulfill the needs of most customers using M365, and we are listening to you closely. So if there are things that you need, let us know. We are very much driven by customer feedback and truly treat macOS as a first-class platform. And I have to keep reminding myself that we are on a journey, and you are choosing to be on Intune not for what we have today, but what we are building in the next 4 or 5 years or longer. And we really see this as the only Microsoft as being the only platform that has the depth and the breadth for all types of security, productivity, identity, all of those pieces of the solution that a customer, an enterprise customer requires. And we're really thinking about that broadly and figuring out what customers are going to need in this new generation of AI-based solutions and workflows. It's a very exciting time to be here and really thinking about not just MDM, but all of these other things that are happening in this space. We welcome you to join that and be a part of that journey, and let us know how we're doing, how we can do better.
Awesome. So Arnab, you're based out of Cambridge?
Yep, Boston.
And Benjamin, you're in Atlanta, right?
Yep.
And Rochelle's in Redmond. Danny's in St. Louis. I'm in Texas. We're all in different places.
Yeah, all over the US.
Interesting. Anyhow, Danny, your final thoughts.
Mac management. Macs are cool. Mac management is cool. The things I never thought I'd be able to do with Windows to a Mac is now possible. So in the spirit of my old cat self, just go try it. Try it, because you will realize all the cool stuff that you can do that you never thought you would do. That's it.
Yeah, and one last final thought from me is we just made an announcement, I think earlier this week, that we actually had a 40% year-over-year growth. That just shows you how much customers are really moving towards adopting macOS as a first-class platform in the organizations as well, and trusting Intune to do a good enough job to be in their environment. So I just wanted to call that out.
No, I've noticed that too, and Apple should really thank us, because they're bringing them into the enterprise because we're able to actually manage them and control them and secure them as well. And I cannot go without asking Rochelle for her final thoughts as well. Rochelle, you've been awesome as our adult supervision, and we certainly hope you continue to do so.
My final thoughts. I am excited to have a little bit of a summer break, mainly because I think we have some really fun ideas to kick things back off in September. So make sure you keep an eye out on our landing page on Tech Community at aka.ms/UEM, and that's where we'll be making announcements on what is coming up in September. But fun day. I always like to start my day with this show.
Awesome. And if you get bored, you can always watch summer reruns of the show available on YouTube and the Tech Community as well. Once again, we will be taking a break for the summer, but we will be returning with a season 5 in September. And on behalf of our guests, Arnab and Benjamin, and our co-hosts and partners in crime, Danny and Rochelle, I'm Steve Thomas, and thank you for joining this month's episode of Unpacking Endpoint Management. Happy summer.